Today, what we're just going to look at is if conditions. So we're going to just briefly introduce all three here and understand, aside from what they are, what they do, but really briefly. In future classes, we'll go in with each of the three conditions and we'll kind of explore on the ideas. So if I look at this first condition, for example, if I go in the sun, the sun, I turn red. And so what is this? This is just a fact. And that's essentially what the simple present is. The simple present is just the building blocks of the objective life that you live, and subjective. They're just facts. That's all they are. And so because it's a fact, it's consistent. It's consistent now, it's consistent tomorrow, it's consistent the day after tomorrow. So grammar-wise, our condition is in the simple present, our verb here, and our output, our result, is in the simple present too. And yeah, it's true. I'm Irish. If I go in the sun, after about a minute and a half, I get licked red, and then I get slapped into this horrific burn. And then I spend the next 3 days blistering, crying, peeling before I go back to this glowing white. And the process starts again and again and again. So this is just something that's absolutely true. There's no feeling to this, there's no emotion to this, it's just a fact. So in a grammar book, we call this what? A true condition. But we have other true conditions, not just this one. In a grammar book, we learn that, for example, if the weather is nice, we'll go to the park. Let me just open this so we can see. I'll uncontract. So if the weather is nice, we will go to the park. All right, so we learn once again that this is a true condition. I don't like the idea of true condition because the future doesn't exist. The future is just an abstract concept in my mind. That's it. That's what it is. So if we look at grammar, what do we have? We have verb to be and some form of the future. Now, just to digress a little, I won't go too much into this, but we learn in a grammar book that the future consists of will and going to. That's not necessarily true. Every model represents the future. If I say I teach English, that's the present, but it is the future. That lets you know it's true today, so it must be true tomorrow. Everything about the present is about making predictions of the future. That's what we do as human beings. So if I say I teach 6 days a week, well, that's now my routine. And so what does routine tells me is, routine is I don't need to feel anything about it. If I say, for example, I teach Thailand on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's my routine, yeah, but it's also things that are my routine. They don't occupy any space in my, like the desktop of my brain, like the notes section where I'm trying to think about what I have to do, what I should do, what I can't do, what I'm going to do. No, my routine are things that are just automated and programmed. I don't need to think about them. I don't need to feel about them in any way. And then when we look at, for example, I have to teach Thailand. I'm going to teach Thailand. I get to teach. I had better teach. I should teach. The one thing that we see is consistent is the verb never changed. In this case, we're always thinking about the future, but our verb is in the simple present. And that's the same as, for example, she has to teach. She's going to teach. She gets to teach. She had better teach. She should teach. The verb always stays in the present. Why? Because in this case, the simple present, when we're looking at an idea of the future, once again, the future is an abstract idea in your head. You know, if this is you, the only true grammar is what's happening now. I am recording a class. That's the only thing that's real. Everything else is just an abstract idea in your head. That's where the future lives, as a thought inside your head. So when we use these modals are just, they explain, where the fuck's my thing? They explain how we feel in the present about the idea of tomorrow. And they all the models represent a different color because they all represent different emotions. And so one might be purple, one might be red, one might be green. If I say I should, it's the color purple. Why? Because I'm trying to provoke myself with shame. What the fuck am I doing? I should teach tomorrow, man. Yeah, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me? Had better. I'm trying to provoke myself with a threat. Oh man, I better teach tomorrow. Yeah, if I don't teach, I'm fucked. Yeah, okay, no, I'll do it. I'd better do it, I'd better do it. I get to, it's beautiful. And so you're looking at your life going, holy shit, I can't believe I get to teach tomorrow. That's incredible. That's incredible. It's you not just feeling grateful, but surprised and just feeling this light sensation inside of you. God damn, that's fantastic. What's going to? Going to says, I have a plan to do something. Yeah, I'm going to teach Thailand tomorrow. That also means that if this doesn't happen, you're going to cry like a baby. I have to. We learn in grammar books that I have to represents obligation. Not so much. I have to represent this. I have no choice. And that's it. It represents restrictions, being bound, being unable. And that how you feel about it doesn't matter. I have to paint the fucking house. I have to go to the fucking dentist. I have to get my car done. I do. I have to. It's you telling yourself you have no choice. That's a feeling, specifically. But once again, the idea of I teach Thailand, it doesn't change. The only thing that changes is how we feel about that idea. That's it. And so all of our models, all of them, same thing with can, they all represent an idea of the future. So this brings us back up here. I could put we can go to the park, we should go to the park, we had better go to the park. I can change any way that I want the intent or the feeling of that outcome. But either way, they're all future. So this idea that the future is will and going to, forget that. The future is everything. Do, as a verb, represents the present. And the present represents the future. That's exactly what it is. Just how we feel about it right now. So, if the weather is nice, we'll go to the park. All right, well, let's look at another one then. We'll say, well, if you clean your room, you can play Xbox. All right, so here, once again, we see our verb in the present. So verb to do. And our outcome, once again, is future. It's can now with our verb. You can play Xbox. All right, so if we follow just the simple rule of the name of this is a true condition. First of all, this is not true because, my son can clean his room and I'll be like, I was just joking. Thanks for cleaning your room. Because I'm a dad, I could be an asshole. There's no guarantee that this will happen. It's not a true condition. Secondly, there's a difference between these two. If I look at the first one here, we will go to the park. What is this? This is, or what am I doing? I'm making an empty promise. I'm making a promise, but why do we say an empty promise? Well, will has many functions. It does. We know that will represents like the idea of certainty, 100%. But in reality, will functions in a humanistic level for something far more beautiful. Why do we tell people it'll be okay? You'll be fine. Or if you live in Australia, she'll be right, mate. Why do we do that? Well, most people, when they're thinking about the future, if we come all the way down here, if everyone is in their head, currently they look like they're watching TV, but in fact they're thinking about something tomorrow. Are they happy? Are most people thinking joyful thoughts of they can't believe they get to do this in their life? Or are most people provoking themselves with either shame, threat, or obligation? Like, what the fuck am I doing? I should stop this. I should do this thing here. Why the hell don't I do this thing here? Are they having happy thoughts in their head, or are they having stressed and anxious thoughts? Yeah, stressed and anxious. Most people are having a fucking terrible time in their head. So what does will function in this? When you tell someone, listen, it'll be okay. Like, really? You think? Yeah, it'll be fine. All that anxiety goes away in a fucking second. Will is like a pinprick. It makes all of those thoughts vanish. Same thing, you'll be fine, she'll be right. All we're doing when we use will, like in most cases, is we're removing anxiety from another person. That's what we're doing. On the other hand of that, you can say, guys, we'll go to the park tomorrow. Really? Really? Yep, yeah, we will. What am I doing now? The opposite of that. I'm introducing excitement. Excitement and anxiety, it's the same energy. It's just when you're a kid, the future's always fucking awesome. The future is my son is 9. So the future to him is Christmas and his birthday, and it's always taken forever. But anytime he's thinking about something that's going to happen, he's always excited. He's like, God damn it, it's going to be fucking good. I'm 42. The future for me is obsolete. The future to me is waking up one morning and finding one of my legs stuck to the fucking to the bed, and then realizing that my body just starts falling to pieces. The future to me is scary for all of us. When we think about the future, like a child in their head, when as 9 years old, they don't have an abstract mind. So when they think about time, that the future is always coming towards them. They are standing still and the future is coming towards them, and it's always their birthday or Christmas and it's taking forever. When we think about time, it's very different. As adults, our abstract mind is quite complex. So what we see is that the future is an event that's standing still like a black hole, and we're being sucked towards it. You know, at 42, instantly you turn 40 and the first thing you see is your retirement. You're like, God damn, I gotta hustle, I gotta get some stuff done. And time slips away from you. So it's the same energy. You know, for adults, most of the time we're trying to help people remove it. You'll be fine. It'll be great. It'll work out. It should be fine. It should be right. And we can introduce it. Hey guys, listen, we'll do something fun tomorrow. Really, really, really? And then that energy's in there. And they're happy and they're excited about it. So we come back here, what are we doing? We're making an empty promise, essentially. Guys, if the weather's nice, we'll go to the park. Fucking kick ass. All right. Then we come down here and we say, well, if you clean your room, you can play Xbox. What is this? This is not making a promise, because why? What do we have here? Here we have two compromises. You know, I want my son to clean his room, and he just wants to play Gears of War all day long. So let's meet in the middle. You clean your room, and then we'll play two-player Gears of War, and we'll go kill some grubs. And so we're making that compromise, and we're using this structure to negotiate. This is a negotiation. You know, I'm negotiating with my son. And the difference here as well is my son is the subject. So now it's a very different intent and it's a very different feeling. So once again, when we learn a grammar rule in a grammar book, all we learn is just the rule. We don't learn the intent or the use of this tool itself. Think about grammar like paintbrushes. You know, each paintbrush of different sizes is designed for a different function. You know, maybe your thicker brushes are to do that I don't know anything about painting, I'm just completely making this shit up, but like to do your, don't look at those as examples, that's fucking terrible. But your thicker brushes will be do like your first kind of layers of color, and then, you know, as you work your way up in layers until the finer details, your brush is going to get finer and finer and finer. You know, our grammar structure is no different. It serves as a function. And the right words that you use will translate to emotion in the other person. You know, one of the most complex things in language is that in communication, I'm having my subjective experience and so are you. So the problem with communication is that you and I are on both sides of a glass window. And that's what divides us, is our subjective experience and semantically how we understand words. So when I write the word cat on this window, you don't see the word cat. On your window, you see the word tack. And that is one of the key problems of communication, is when I'm trying to say something to you, those words are sacred to me. Quietly in my head, that's how I understand the world. And I've quietly been having these conversations for 42 years, using structure and vocabulary that defines how I feel and what things mean to me. So then when I explain them to you, the problem is those words get changed through your semantic understanding of those words, through the environment, the tribes that you're in, the past experiences you've had, the difference between just the reality where one of the great parts of revolution from young people is to not change the world, because you can't change the world, but what you can change is the definitions of the world. So kids today, we see it, they're not tearing down institutions. They're just changing the definitions of the words that we already had or other generations had on institutions. And so in that way, you don't tear down the world, you tear down the person who's trying to make their way through the world, and they're blind. They just, for 30, 40, 60 years, they've known the world in one way, and now they're encountering it a different way. It's beautiful. Every couple of generations does it. They just reword, rename, and reclaim language. And that's where the battle is. The battle is in understanding. So if I was a good communicator, and this is what I try to do with my kids, I don't try to make my kids understand me. As they're growing, I try to listen to them. I try to sit with them and understand, what are those meanings for my daughter? When she says X, what does she actually mean? Is it, and compared to what I think X actually means? Below it, is it the same, like the meaning and intent that she has when she says X, is that the exact same meaning intent I have when I say Y? And this is a problem, is that if I want my daughter to see the word cat, well, I have to use the words and language not for me, I have to write it backwards, TAC. So I know, even though it makes no sense to me, I know she can understand it. These are the complexities, of language. And so this takes us to our second condition.